Well, according to the American Heart Association, heart disease kills more Americans every year than anything else, claiming nearly 700,000 lives in the U.S. last year alone. Joining us now to discuss managing cardiovascular risk options is the Director of Cardiology at State of the Heart Cardiology, Dr. John Osborne, along with his patient pilot, Mike Hodge. Welcome to you both.
Thanks for having us on.
Of course. Good to have you here. Doctor, I'll start with you first, and I'm curious, how important is risk management for cardiovascular health?
Well, it's extremely important. It's as serious as a heart attack, if you will. Heart disease, as you mentioned, still remains the leading cause of death in the United States. It's been the leading cause of death for decades. It was the leading cause of death even last year during COVID. So how we manage that risk and lower that risk is really incredibly important. Newer studies have shown that there are other drugs, now FDA approved, that in addition to statins further lower cardiovascular risk. So that's really what I wanted to establish on to steal Mike, my pilot's patient's thunder, is to have it on patients' radar that this understanding of science and science that allows us to further lower cardiovascular risk continues to evolve, and make sure that you're not just the passenger, you're the pilot.
Well, those are such good points, and I do believe with you, Doctor, it's so important to be proactive with our health. We're our own best advocates, aren't we? And so, Mike, that brings me to you. Share your experience with us.
Well, ma'am, I appreciate the question, and I like passing the information on to people because it is important that you take a proactive in your health. Before my heart attack, I never knew I had a problem. In fact, I ran most every other day. I felt great that morning and had a heart attack that afternoon, had bypass surgery and was sent home now off of flight status, couldn't fly anymore, and went and interviewed over the week, two cardiologists that both told me I'd never fly again. I ended up meeting and talking with Dr. John Osborne after that. And he said, no, that's not true, that there is a good possibility we can work at it. And so over the next 6 months, I followed him religiously in his approach, which included an increasing amount of exercise, a better diet and eating program. And then naturally, he put me on medications that he thought at that time was the best they could possibly be. And I agreed with it. I did a lot of research and we talked a lot about it. And I got on those prescriptions. And in 6 months, I was back on flight status and was healthy and felt great and was on a very regimented diet and a exercise program.
Well, I'm going to knock on wood here because it sounds great. I love to see you looking so healthy, and it sounds like those are great results, Dr. Osborne. So what exactly is that the plan that you recommend for most of your patients, eating right, exercising, along with proper medication?
Yeah, there's not one solution, it's multiple. And obviously lifestyle, diet, exercise, not smoking, staying active, staying height weight proportion is really critical to that as well. But also appreciate there's a huge amount of science on the role of certain medications that really are central to lowering cardiovascular risk and lowering what we call persistent cardiovascular risk. In fact, I would encourage you, if you happen to be on these drugs called phenofibrates, that have had the FDA approval was actually revoked several years ago for these drugs because we saw that they did not help lower cardiovascular risk, that it may be worthwhile having discussion with your healthcare provider about switching from a phenofibrate to other newer, better scientifically based approaches that are FDA approved that further lower cardiovascular risk beyond what statins do as well.
Well, boy, those are such great recommendations. And Doctor, I'm going to ask you if you will give our viewers where they can find more information. Mike, I do want to give you a sign off too, and thank you so much for sharing your experience. You sure did a great job with your health, and we're happy to see you doing so well and back doing what you love, being a pilot, of course. So, Doctor, if you'll tell us where our viewers can get more information.
Sure, a great place to start to get or dive into more data and look at current FDA-approved approaches that do further lower cardiovascular risk is a website called itscleartomenow.com. That's itscleartomenow.com. A great place to get up to speed, get your briefing, as Mike might say, so that we can that you can then go to your healthcare provider who's managing your cardiovascular risk and make sure that you're on the right, best, scientifically approved, guideline-based approaches to maximize your risk of prevention of strokes and heart attacks.